infrastructure, healthcare, education to tourism. Watch the rich history of the culture and tradition of Kano and savor the vibrant spirit that unites the center of commerce on Kano Spotlight, Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News. At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
A verdict or judgment, we are told, is neither a vote nor a consensus nor a customary decision. It is the interpretation of the Constitution and the law, and judges set it accordingly in the context of that and they ensure its implementation. The Supreme Court on Thursday dismissed the appeals brought against President Bola Tinubu by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and Labour Party's Peter Gregory Obi. But both parties have expressed disappointment over the verdict of the Apex Court, which affirmed the election victory of President Tinubu. Now, the electoral tussle is over. It is time to build broken bridges, don't you think, Jide?
I think so too, but the Nigerian politician is of a rare breed. You will see that some people will not agree that closure has been put to this matter. They will be making so much noise, abusing the judiciary, saying all kinds of things. Whereas those judges have operated firmly within the ambit of the law. Everything they said, we expected. Even we that we are not lawyers, we are not judges. Because we read the law. We read what the law says. When you are talking about, individuals, a group of individuals from Abuja deluding themselves that they could sue somebody who won an election. The law is clear. Because you didn't take part in the election, you cannot sue. Only the people who contested against him and lost to him can sue. But we have lawyers who got up and went before the courts to say, okay, we are lawyers to so people. I mean, it's ridiculous. The things that lawyers get away with in Nigeria, elsewhere they would have been disbarred. So that's one. And what this does is that it fouls the atmosphere. Look at what Justice Okoro said. There are people, lawyers, you are involved in election litigation, you go from media house to media house, TV station to TV station, analyzing a case that is before a court. Something that is completely against your training.
Yeah.
You're analyzing it, trying to foul the atmosphere, trying to get your supporters worked up unnecessarily. And they go on social media, they go on Twitter, or is it X that they call it now? They go and work themselves up needlessly over things that are immaterial. At the end of the day, they eat up the polity. And what they do, moving from TV station to TV station, at the end of the day does not affect the outcome. The judges are not going to be bothered about public opinion, especially public opinion from a noisy minority. Because when we are talking about public opinion, we have to be sure of what we are saying. That some people are voluble, they can make all the noise in the world, does not mean that they are in the majority. There are people who are not interested in those noises. It's the least of their concerns. And those people actually outvote the noisemakers. We have to say the truth. It doesn't matter how we are passing, you hate me, we're saying the truth. That is your problem. It's too late in the day for me to change my ways. So Now, elections have been held. We've had the courts decide who won the presidential election. At that point, it should stop. A lot of our politicians are just similar to Donald Trump. Donald Trump lost the election. I supported Donald Trump. I've always liked him. But I knew that he lost the election. But Donald Trump and his people are still saying that he won the election.
Even when his lawyer has admitted...
Despite the huge gap between him and Joe Biden in terms of the popular vote, he's still saying that he won the election. That's the way a lot of our politicians are. And they are supported by lawyers how to make money, who will continue to give them the impression that if we file this matter, we can still win.
Yeah.
What is the sense in a matter decided on May 28, 2023? It was still part of Obi's prayers before the court. That is that Shettima was not validly nominated. So the Supreme Court said, no, you can't bring this before us. We've decided this matter. We can't be sitting over a matter that we have decided. Are you telling me that a lawyer shouldn't have known that a matter already decided by the apex court, you can't bring it before the same apex court? You brought it before the PAPC. Were you expecting the lower court to overrule the Supreme Court? What kind of thing are we going through in this country? And then you didn't stop there. After the PAPC said, no, this matter has been decided by the Supreme Court, you still took it before the Supreme Court amongst your prayers. Come on. I mean, these are the things happening. And when you don't have your way, you stand on the rooftop and be making so much noise.
The Nigerian politician is telling you and I that in politics, anything is possible.
But that is a lie.
Okay.
It is not, you cannot say that in politics everything is possible.
Anything.
No, even anything is not possible.
So
it's the same way that when people argue.
When Napoleon Bonaparte said, in politics, stupidity is not a handicap.
But even when you're talking about stupidity, it's not everybody that manifestly demonstrates stupidity. Some people still have some level of decorum. Well, they will not show their stupidity. Maybe within the four walls of their homes, they demonstrate stupidity. They demonstrate lack of common sense. But when they're in public, they restrain themselves. So this is the thing. It's just like when people, my teachers taught me in the university that to say God can do everything is wrong. And I'm like, oh, because we've always heard that God can do all things. I said, what is this man saying? And he said, no, because the teacher himself was a cleric. He said, come on, calm down, calm down. I will teach you what you do not know.
Don't get emotional.
Don't get crazy over nothing. He said, can God be rational? Can God create a stone he cannot lift? The idea of a stone that God cannot lift is irrational. Can God create a square circle? The idea of a square circle is irrational. I said, oh, this is why I came to university. So that I will learn new things. So when they say, oh, you can do all things, you're assuming that it can be like us. It can be irrational.
But it cannot be.
It cannot be.
Wale, shall we talk about the FCT?
Well, you know,
if you understand what
yes, I understand what to mean. Let me put it in the common language.
Okay.
Street person. You know, it's like you having a football, and let's say between Hope Wardell and KC in Onitsha. And then CKC scores 5-0. Then Hope Wardell is now saying that one of those penalties, one of those 5 goals, one was not scored inside 18. So, because, if you score inside 18, penalty is a goal. But, one must have been scored inside 18 before it can be counted. So, on that basis, it should be disqualified. Then, on the other ground, you say the striker of CKC, who scored that goal, in 1952, the school he attended, he didn't get the original certificate. In 1970, he went to one college, and that college, he didn't write the correct name. So would that disqualify the 5 goals already scored by CKC? So instead of Then look at the issue of IREF, because these are the three pillars: IREF, Abuja, and then the personality of the presidential candidate.
Yeah.
On IREF, if after scoring 5 goals, they didn't show it on the screen in the stadium, so because of that, it didn't, the
goals don't count.
There are so many people who are there, they witnessed it. Those are the party against spectators in the stadium. They were there, they recorded the goal, they saw it, but because it didn't show on the screen through transmitter, then it should be cancelled. And I think these are the pillars, that were demolished by the judges. One of the judges said something. He said the petition of Atiku was vexatious, based on personal attack on the striker who scored that goal against Hope Waddell. It's not about issues. And the Atiku called a press conference, and he was attacking that, in 1992, when they were in PDM, he did something to me. During the election in 2003, I worked for him. Those are personal issues.
Supported Yaradua.
They are personal issues that have no bearing. I've been following
on the case at hand.
Yes, I've been following the current president since 1992. I think we should learn from resilience. Somebody who was almost killed, he went abroad, sold his properties. He never knew he would become the president of Nigeria. And worked so hard, came back again. During the June 12th, he was almost killed. Abandoned everything, his family and all that. And eventually, even in the party, within the APC, they didn't want him to be. This is the first time I'm seeing an election that the ruling party did not, a section, for them in a very strong section, including people very powerful in the party, did not support the candidate. All sorts of policies came up just because of one kind, but eventually the person won. So I think we should just allow things to go. Now, governance, no longer campaign, no longer politics. And I think we should learn from what is happening in the Middle East. Look at Israel and Palestine. There are so many factions in Palestine, but they are coming together because of national interest. The same thing in Israel. All the parties, they are forgetting about what Netanyahu wants to do about intervening in judiciary. Everybody is coming together.
And talk about emotions.
Yeah,
we are not talking about
national interest.
We are not talking about the Israel of the Bible.
Yes.
But contemporary Israel.
Of course. So the two parties, they have put everything apart and then working together for. So I think we should commend them because their efforts deepen democracy. We are now seeing presidents about so many things, learning so many things about law. We should commend them for their effort. But I think it is time for them to rally around so that we can address fundamental issues facing Nigerians.
Okay. All right. Meanwhile, as more reactions trailed the judgment, many Nigerians have called for the need to move forward as a country after the electoral dispute. Now, this was the position of two guests on TVC News flagship political program, Politics Tonight. Let's share this with you. Please.
After months of legal battle, the 2023 presidential election petitions challenging the victory of President Bola Tinubu in the February 25 poll came to a close on Thursday, the 26th of October. A 7-man panel of the Supreme Court dismissed the appeals filed by the candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and that of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, for lack of merits.
That the appellants, having not put forward their perceived rightful score.
Many analysts say it is time to move on as a country after the judgments by the Apex Court, which upheld the verdict of the presidential election petition court of 6th of September.
Be introducing new or fresh evidence.
Featured on TVC News' flagship political program, Politics Tonight, the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Dumebi Kajiko, advised opposition parties to stop further hostilities about the outcome of the election.
Hope that we don't see the kind of gangsterism and rascality of political parties in pursuing their mandates, because what we've seen in the last couple of months is just sheer rascality on the part of these parties. We saw that in presenting their cases before the court. So all this sought to do was tarnish the image of the institution, the process, the president of the country, and also bring Nigeria to a near state of anarchy. They brought Nigeria to the brink, to the precipice. And this should not happen. Politicians should show statesmanship.
It was a keenly fought legal battle that extended to the United States, with Atiku attempting to file fresh evidence over alleged certificate forgery by President Tinubu during his time at Chicago State University, which the Apex Court overruled.
Anybody who says that...
Another guest on the program, who is a constitutional lawyer, Omoruyi Edogiawere, said the court was right in refusing to allow fresh evidence to be presented by Atiku.
Strictly speaking, on appeal, can you bring new facts? It is elementary law that you cannot adduce new facts on appeal. Appeal is based on points of law and areas where you believe that the Court of Appeal has erred. And so you cannot bring fresh facts. Emphasis on the word fresh facts. So I think that it was a no-brainer that the court would have addressed it that way.
They also expressed their views on the issue of 25% votes in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, which they describe as a ploy by the petitioners to discredit the election since they could not prove they won.
They sought to focus on other technicalities, all in a bid to upturn the elections, because they knew that on the hard fact of did you win this election, it was clear that they did not win. It's common sense. I don't believe the framers of our constitution ever expected that residents in any part of Nigeria will have more rights than those in other parts of Nigeria. That could never have been their intention. Sometimes when you hear the passion with which people argue this, that Abuja could decide the elections, I just wondered how.
If the framers of the Constitution intended to ascribe special status to the FCT, they would have expressly done that. And the court also gave a hint that we all lawyers must now take, that in seeking to interpret sections of the Constitution, the courts must be very wary of adopting a narrow, rigid approach.
Atiku berated the Labour Party for the attacks on the judiciary and called on the National Assembly to address the problem.
The judiciary is supposed to uphold society, uphold constitution that frames society. If we say it does not exist, it is corrupt, we might as well let a state of anarchy prevail in Nigeria. So the National Assembly must look at this. What do we do to people who promote anarchy by disreputating the judiciary? What should we do to those people who consciously, who intentionally do things to make Nigerians doubt the integrity of the judiciary? What should we do to those people? This should not be allowed to happen. Tell you what, it's very easy for people to have taken those pictures that they saw all over the internet of our judges, gone after them, gone after their families. That's what they intended. What happened if people had done that? Someone had lost their life in this process. What do we then say to ourselves? I expect that the National Assembly should be looking at this critically and come up with a solution to this.
With litigation over, the administration of President Tinubu can now focus on the governance, particularly reviving the ailing economy and uniting the people.
Jide, I remember the great American jurist, Robert Jackson, who said, we are not final because... we are infallible. No, we are not final because we are infallible. We are not infallible because we are final. We are final because we are infallible. So that should, when you get to the Supreme Court, you must listen. First of all, listening is an art. Not too many people listen.
Them were sleeping.
Yeah. Because at the Supreme Court, everything will come to roost. Yeah. You must develop the art of listening. Because I listened, for instance, the Peter Obi's case was hardly 5-10 minutes.
10 lines. The judgment was 10 lines.
Not because...
is it 1 minute 47 seconds? Somebody told me. They didn't have
and so, because the man on the street who gets so emotive will say, but he didn't visit Obi's case.
No, because the grounds, were laid, by the Court of Appeal. So the Supreme Court is just to review and then pass judgment. It doesn't need to go through all the. I know the other one spent so many hours.
The issues that he came up with were similar to what Atiku came up with. The only difference was on him insisting that Shetima was not properly nominated. That's the only difference. And they addressed that one in 10 lines. So the other issues, very similar to Atiku's issues, those issues have been decided in the judgment on Atiku. So it will have amounted to a waste of time going over, because they will still end up saying the same thing.
Jide, we must go. But at this point, mine is loyalty.
Where are we going from here?
We're going home.
No.
Okay, you mean as a
bar? Have we not been called to bar?
Ikosi bar.
Yes. No.
Okay, I should have known.
Lawyers get called to bar. At TVC, we get called to bar too.
That's it. There's a bar here.
Yes.
Please come over. Loyalty to country always, loyalty to government when it deserves it. At this point, the loyalty, mine, and I dare say Jide's and Wale's loyalties will be to the country.
Yes.